Yes.
So, awesome. What's up, everybody? So, my name is Christian Rupenthal. I'm your channel manager. I know some of you I've met on Zoom here before. Been working with Quincy for several months now. I just wanted to take this time today to meet with you guys and introduce you to Bao. Bao is, like Quincy said, one of our technician supervisors in the Philly area. So what we want to do is do a little Q&A for you. If you have questions, hold on to them. We'll ask for questions throughout the presentation here. But Bao is going to take us through some general installation situations, what we can kind of explain to our customers at point of sale, so that we're setting ourselves up.
Please mute your please mute your phones. Thank you.
All right. So thank you very much. Yeah, so Val's going to take us through some general installation situations, just so we can kind of set those expectations for customers as to what to expect when the technician arrives. Also, we're going to go through just some best practices that we can do out in the field at point of sale to make sure we're setting ourselves up for success and make sure our orders are getting installed, as well as setting our technicians up for success. Because remember, after you guys hit submit out in the field, there is a myriad of situations and things that your customers will go through up until installation, and then even post that installation. So how do we make sure our customers are available for our technicians when they knock on the door, when they call those cell phone numbers, to make sure that we are getting our orders installed and we're getting paid and our customers are happy and our technicians are happy. So with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Bao, and he's going to take you through some general installation, and we'll get the ball rolling here.
All right, thank you, Christian. Hi, everybody. Again, like was mentioned before, my name is Bao Tran, and I am the local manager here in the Philadelphia area. I'd like to first thank you out there to the sales team, because without the sales team and without you guys making them sales, we wouldn't be having our installs, right? So we work hand in hand, and I'm just, I don't know why we never talked earlier before. I mean, we work as a team here. Like, you guys make the sales, we make the installs, right? So I'm not sure why we never, hung out before and talked before, but I'm glad that we're doing it now, right? So this is important because we want to help close the deal for you all. But I want to show you the process of what happens. So once you hit that submit button, that job goes to a various amount of processes before we get dispatched on it. So once you hit submit, it'll go into engineering, right? And then the engineer is going to say, okay, this house is eligible for FiOS, for our fiber optics. Bam, that's done. Then it goes into dispatch. Dispatch says which date is it being out for, and then they put it on, and they'll look at the date, they look at the time and all that stuff. They'll even call the customer again just to verify. If we don't get any verification, they'll still load it onto the technician. So now it's on us, it's on the technician, right? We call the tech. We call the customer. We're telling them, hey, we're on our way. We get on site. Hey, we're at your door. We're ready for your install. And then we complete the install from there. So, there's some steps, but then I want you to know that we do our best. So when the customer's not there or the customer's not picking up, the technician has to call management. They can't just cancel the job on the site saying, oh, customer's not home. They have to call management. So we can't contact the customer. Technician calls manager. That's when I come in, I call the customer again. No answer. Then we go to the next step. We call our dispatchers so the dispatchers could call them. So we do a number of calls to this customer so we don't lose that customer, right? So when we get in, so after all that, we're into the customer's house. Now we're ready to do the installs. I want to let you know that a lot of the Philadelphia installs, our installs come from the rear of the house. A lot of Comcast is in the front. We come from the rear. We come from the back alleyway. So we want to make sure that we let the customer know ahead of time. Hey, we come from the back, just make sure, your backyard's cleared up, your dog's not back there and things like that, because we do have instances where the backyard is completely filled up. Customers haven't even been to their backyard in years. So that ends up being a cancellation because we can't get back there, right? Also, I want to let you know that we, like I said, we do our best to close these sales for you all, because like if the customer forgot to sign up with Pico when they moved in, they don't even have electric, bam, we give electric to them, right? We power up a little box like this, power it up, activate that bad boy, boom. Then we say, hey, whenever Pico's on, go ahead and plug your equipment in. So I want you to know we try our best out there to close these jobs for you all and make these sales happen. I want to show you some equipment real quick. So we have something called the ONT, right? The ONT is where the fiber comes in. This is our main source of supplying the customer their needs. So back here,
what is it called?
ONT, our optical network terminal, but we all call them the ONT, right? So before we get to the ONT, this is the wall plate. This is where the fiber comes in, and this is on the wall. So it looks like a little outlet, right? It looks like an outlet. We drill into the wall, and this is where the fiber comes in. So you could tell the customer, hey, we make a nice little hole for you, and our fiber just looks like a little outlet plug. And then from here is where the ONT plugs in, and this is where everything comes out. This is where the internet comes out. This is where the phone comes out, and this is where the TV comes out. TV, Ethernet, phones, right? So this is our bad boy right here. We like to leave these in the living room because these are called desktop ONTs. We like to leave in the living room. They stand up or face down like that. And then from the ONT, you got our newest router. This is our newest router called the CR1000. And these things could, I mean, the Wi-Fi on these are amazing. They could go like a radius, I would say, of 2,000 home. This will be no issues for that. But just keep in mind, we do like to put them in the living room, because think of a circle, right? So with the router being in the living room, it spreads out in a circle. So it reaches the second floor, reaches the basement. If we were to leave this on the second floor, it would be going towards the roof, and no one's really hanging out on the roof, right? So we like to tell your customer, we like to leave these items here in the living room, preferably first floor area. So, I mean,
Hey, Val, really quick.
Yeah.
So I just want to clarify so everyone knows. Can you show me the ONT one more time?
ONT.
And if you could hold it closer to your chest, I want to kind of get an idea of how small this is. So just so everyone knows, the main reason we are different from our competitors is because we run fiber optic connections, which is glass wires, and we wire homes directly to customers' homes. That's how we deliver our internet and our TV services, over glass wires. That's what fiber optic is. Now, one of the best things about Fios and what sets us aside is that each one of our customers is getting a direct connection. That means that your customers are using their internet and no one else uses it. That's what we talk about when we say Comcast uses a shared network, because they do not wire individual customer homes the way we do. And on top of that, they also don't use fiber optics, not to the homes anyway, right? So this is what's important and what drives our customer experience with Fios versus our competitors. Now, that fiber optic white line, you see, it's so simple, it's so small, right? That's what provides up to 1,000 meg internet to our customers' homes, 4K, 8K television down the road, 10K gig services, crazy possibilities with what we offer our customers. Now, all of that fiber optic line, that service that comes to our customer's home via light, which is unbelievable, right? That goes to this optical network terminal that Bao is holding there. And that is what distributes and transfers that signal into what our customers use as far as Wi-Fi and TV in the home. So there are typically some questions or concerns with customers as far as what Verizon is going to be installing on the day of installation. In the past, our ONTs were big. They were big gray boxes that had to be installed in our customers' houses, our basements, or on the outside of homes. The technology, as we've grown, has changed, just like everything else. And now this giant box we used to have to, install on the side of customers' houses, now literally is this tiny black box that Bao is holding in his hand. So very small, very sleek, very, sexy, aesthetically pleasing, that delivers the best, most constant, fastest service on the market to our customers. Now, if that box has to be installed on the outside of the home, there is like a weatherproof casing that will, sometimes be installed that makes it a little bit larger, but it is typically smaller than what you're going to see from existing Comcast boxes and equipment on the side of homes now. And then to Bell's point, if we don't need that, we're installing that little box in a closet or a basement or something to that effect, which then has to be hardwired to the router that he was showing us, which is one of the hottest routers on the market now. So 3-band, you got 2 gigahertz speed, you got 5, and you got now 6. This is the newest technology when it comes to routers that are out there, right? That's going to give our customers the best experience possible, and it's going to future-proof them for the next year or 2 years as the technology in our pockets continues to change and grow. So this is going to give our customers best experience possible. Now, I have a question for you. When it comes to installation, one of the questions we get from our customers all the time is, are they going to have to drill? Are they going to put new holes in my home? So can you take us through that a little bit as far as what that looks like?
Okay, so from my standpoint, though, if you see a house that is completely renovated, brand new, because we see that a lot in Philadelphia, right? Brand new homes, renovated, we do need 1 hole drill, right? But if the house is not renovated, is not brand new, and there's already a Comcast wire or something like that, we do not need to drill another hole. Comcast knows this rule too. So if we're in there, they'll take our fiber out, they'll use the same hole. Same thing applies if Comcast is already in there, we'll take Comcast out and we'll put our fiber back in the hole. So we only need 1 hole to get into the house.
So we're going to try to use existing holes as much as possible.
Yes.
Awesome. One other thing I want to talk about really quick is sometimes we have customers that we're dealing with that have had FiOS in the home before. Now, those customers, when you're placing your orders, they're going to be known as fiber ready or IONT. That basically means that customer already has an ONT in the customer's home. So we love those customers because we're trying to win them back. Maybe there's different promotions available for customers that had our service, left, and now we're trying to win them back out in the field, right? Or you have customers maybe who are moving into a new place and they have an inactive ONT, meaning someone else was our customer there before. They're already pre-wired, and that's where you're going to see maybe some setup fees waived for customers who are already pre-wired. We want to incentivize those customers to either get our service because we've already invested Bao's time and his team's time in wiring that location, or we want to win that customer back because maybe we lost them due to price or maybe a bad customer experience or something along the line. So keep an eye out, because when you're qualifying those addresses out in the field, you may see fiber ready, existing ONT, IONT, that kind of stuff. And that's going to be able to, help you have conversations with your customers to let them know what kind of installation we're dealing with on that day. That's where you're going to see self-install pop up, things of that sort. So we love self-install. It's easy. Easier for your customers. They can get installed on their schedule. They have all the wiring and going to plug everything in. Super simple, designed for customers to do themselves. Customers get installed faster. You don't have to wait around for technicians. You guys get paid faster because your orders will activate faster. And then that frees up Bao and his team to go to locations where, maybe we're not pre-wired. So that should free up due dates for you guys down the road, as long as we're taking advantage of those situations. the last thing I'll say about an existing ONT on a customer's home, we do want to ask questions. You know, hey, is this box still there? You know, the system is going to tell you they qualify. But if you have a customer who says, oh, yeah, I was so pissed off at Verizon, I ripped that thing off the wall and I returned it. You know, that kind of thing happens. So we want to be aware and actively listen to customers, make sure they're going to set themselves up for success. And if we need to send a technician out on those orders, then let's absolutely do it. Val, I have another question for you.
Yeah.
So for a home that does not have that ONT already installed, that little black box that brings in the fiber, what is an average installation time for your team to do a full installation for customers for internet? And then also if they were going to do TV and maybe have TV boxes, what does that look like? So we can set that expectation.
The average install time per customer, great question. Average install time, I give my technicians 2 hours. So because they have to run the line outside from the terminal to the house, go to a hub, do a cross connect, and then in the house, they're cleaning up the wires, setting equipment up, and then speaking to that customer, showing them how to use the device. That takes about 2 hours. Sometimes faster if the wire is a little shorter, like from the terminal to the house is only 50 feet. Those could be an hour and a half, but I give it about an hour and a half, 2 hours for install.
And if you guys are installing TV and set-top boxes, is that a longer process?
Yes, if we're adding TV and phone lines, we got to give them 3.5 hours.
So this is something thank you. This is something that we want to make sure we're having conversations with our customers about. When we're placing our orders and picking a due date, you want to find a date that's going to work for your customer, you know, that's going to give our technicians enough time to do their installations, okay? So, for example, when you go and you're picking your due date for your customer for installation day, sometimes you're going to see a window between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock or 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So what we want to make sure we are explaining to customers is that's an arrival window. So keep in mind, if you pick an install time between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and that technician arrives at 9:59, that technician is not late. It is an arrival window to arrive within that time frame. If they're not going to make that, they will reach out and communicate on the day of installation to try to let people know. If we pick an install date between 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock, that technician might have 2 or 3 other orders earlier in the day where they're doing full installations. You know, anything could creep up. You know, you might have something that's delayed, maybe a line that needs to be rerun, anything that could delay that customer or that technician that could push your install back a little bit. So we do our best to make sure we arrive within that window. Is it perfect all the time? No, because there are unforeseen situations that happen. But what we want to do at point of sale is make sure that we are explaining the arrival window, and that once that technician gets there, they are going to need 1 or 2 to 4 hours to install that service in that customer's home. So when you pick an arrival window between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock, and your customer says, hey, that's great, I don't work until 11, you know, that might not be the best day for our technician to come out and do that service. And then if that customer tells that customer, that tech, hey, listen, I got to be at work at 11. Can we wrap this up? The technician is going to jeopardize the job, which means they're going to say, this job can't be completed today. Tell our customers they're going to have to call back to reschedule. And then that delays our orders completing and us getting paid. So it's all about us at point of sale to make sure we're finding the right day and the right time. And we do want to pick the earliest due dates possible, because listen, the best thing about what we do out in the field is that we're out there creating a need, finding a problem to solve for our customers, to position Fios as the best solution and close that sale, right? So we want to make sure that we are doing everything we can within our time, you know, within ourselves, to make sure we're getting the best due dates, the best contact numbers, and setting that expectation and finding a good day that works for the customers. All right, go ahead, Val. Sorry. Thank you.
No, that was great points. And just please be aware too, for the months of January, February, March, winter is coming. So snow holds us back a little bit. So we get delayed about 30 minutes because of snow. So just be aware of those too. So, I mean, like I said before, You guys and gals are doing a great job hitting these sales for us, and we really appreciate you all. I just want to mention some roadblocks that we encounter when we're out there. Our biggest roadblock by far right now, and I don't have the numbers in front of me, but most of our jeopardized jobs to cancel jobs are jobs that we cannot reach the customer. So it's either the wrong phone number or wrong address. So just make sure that we have the right phone number so that we could contact that customer, because that's our biggest roadblock out there, that we can't even contact these customers that you all put into the system. So other than that, we have been solid with your help with these installs.
I love that. And one of the things that I love hearing from you about how your team is, that you have our backs out in the field. You guys, you guys do everything you can to get our orders installed, right? Whether it's contacting multiple times, waiting around sometimes when possible, anything. We understand that you guys have our backs, and it's within your best interest to make sure our orders get installed, which is obviously great for our customers and great for us. So what we need to do as sales reps is make sure we have our technicians' backs. And the best way to do that is to have our customers available for them when the technicians go out and knock on the door or call the cell phone number. So what can we do as agents when we're placing our orders to make sure that we're setting our techs up for success? I'm going to run through. I would love to ask you guys, but I don't want you to have to come off mute in this situation and all that stuff. So I'm going to just answer my own questions. Here we go. 2 good contact numbers. 2 good cell phone numbers. Not like, like Lorraine, like, the 86-year-old's like friend down the road or something like that. A good email address. Don't make up email addresses for people who don't have them. If people don't have an email address, there's a reason they don't use email. They're probably not ready to do that, right? So if we're making up an email address, even if we think we're helping customers by doing that, we're actually creating more of an issue. Because if your customer doesn't have an email address, and now we make one up for them, the chances are that they're going to remember how to access it, what is going to happen with email, how to read email, how to send email, how to remember their passwords are slim, right? You're not there with them to help them, guide them through that process, right? Now, when you put in an email address on a customer's order, that locks that customer into paper-free billing. They have no option of getting a paper bill. So when you have those customers who maybe are a little elderly, they love to say they're technically, not tech savvy, what have you, right? We are actually putting that customer into a situation where they would have to cancel their order or cancel their service in order to get them a paper bill, okay? So that's all I'm going to say about email addresses. We verify promotions through email. That means any gift card promotions, anything like that. So it's very important to gather the email address. We want to make sure we get it, but we don't want to make it up for them if they don't have it or can't do it. So remember, if you're in a situation where your customer doesn't have email, you're going to call those orders into like your help desk, to help them assist you with placing those orders. Everyone, I don't know what you guys call it, help desk, mega center, I don't know. But like if you ever are having an issue where you can't place your order on your tablet, there's a phone number you can call to have us assist you. Quincy, are you familiar with what I'm talking about?
Yes, you're talking about the call center. We're familiar with the Verizon call center.
Okay, call center is a little different, though, but I'm telling you, every one of my agents calls it something different. So call center is fine, but it's not 1-800-Verizon, right? We don't want to call the actual call center or customer service to have them place their orders. You would call the phone number that you have there, which is essentially a call center. They're there to support us out in the field to help us place orders when we can't do it on our tablets, okay? So I digress. 2 good cell phone numbers, an email address, and a correct address. That's up to us out in the field when we're placing our orders to make sure we're confirming with customers that we've got a good number, a good email, and a good address. The best way for us to do that is to utilize Life on Fios at the end of your order. At the end of your recap, you're sending your customers a digital receipt. It's got a breakdown of their address, their phone numbers, their names. Make sure their names are spelled correctly. All of that stuff will help us get our orders installed and have Bao and his technicians be able to successfully contact our customer on the day of installation to make sure that we're getting our stuff installed. We also do not want to make up addresses. So if a customer lives at 103 Main Street, but there's existing service there, maybe someone, they just moved in, and that other person who had service there before has not canceled their service. We want to make sure we get that issue resolved. Don't place the order for the neighbor's address and then think it's going to get worked out. It's not going to get worked out. You know, Bao's going to send his technicians to 102 Main Street. They're going to be knocking on the door. 102 Main Street's going to open up the door and be like, who the hell are you? I never signed up for Fios, right? You know, oh, are you Mrs. Jones? No, Mrs. Jones is like 101, right? But she's already, you know, there's some reason why we couldn't place that order, okay? That's just one example. Someone moves out, doesn't cancel their service. You try to put it in at the right location and it's not there. In those cases, we want to get that back to Quincy so he can get it back to me and we can get it resolved and then place our order for our customers. Here's another situation. We do a lot of ACP, Affordable Connectivity Program, right? We love that out in the field. It is a beautiful thing. It helps customers get a reliable internet service in their home at no charge, depending on what speed they go with. We love it. But if a customer has existing service already, they do not need a new account to qualify for ACP. We never want to place an order for a customer who has existing service. I don't care if they've only had service for a week, if they've had service for 10 years and they never paid the bill and it's suspended. They do not need new service. Existing customers that have any questions about their existing account need to call into 1-800-Verizon and have them assist them with their service. And again, existing customers will qualify for ACP. They don't have to be new. So we never want to be in a situation where customer has existing service at 101 Main Street, floor 1, and we say, you know what, Mr. Customer, I've got a better deal for you. I want to make sure you're getting ACP like I just sold to this person. Maybe that customer, that existing customer overheard you pitching it or talking about it or being excited with someone else, and now they want free service. Call into the call center. Because if your customer lives at floor 1 and we create floor 2, they have existing service already, we are wasting our time. Because we're wasting our time because that order is going to get canceled. And if it doesn't get canceled, we're wasting our technicians' time because they're going out to floor 2 and knocking on the door and no one's there. Okay? That's one of the common issues we have where our techs are not able to install service. If we don't have good cell phone numbers, we don't have good emails, and we don't have correct addresses. Cool? Cool. All right. Hey, Bao, let me ask you a question. I know you touched on it a little bit. When your customers do answer the door for us, which, you know, most of the time we love when they do, but what prevents you from doing it, you know, being able to complete an installation when your customer does answer the door that maybe we can kind of, you know, clarify or make sure we're addressing, you know, when we're placing the order. Okay, that'll help.
So I will be completely transparent and honest with you all. Us here in the field, we just learned about ACP. We didn't know anything about this program. So when the customer opened the door, they said, hey, is this free? And our customer said, I mean, our technician goes, I have no idea what you're talking about. So in the beginning, when ACP just launched, we were getting a lot of cancels because our technicians didn't feel comfortable lying to the customer saying, yes, it's free, because we didn't know anything about ACP. Now that we are learning about ACP and we do know about it, thanks to Christian and your team, we know that we have to complete the install. So what we do now is we go in, we say, ma'am, we really don't know about your ACP status, but once we complete the install, you have to call into 1-800-Verizon and get your status from them. We're just here to finish your install. So in the beginning, we were getting a lot of jeopardized jobs and cancellation because us in the field, no one told us anything. But now we're getting the hang of it. We are hearing about the program now, and we are being told that we have to complete the job first. And on that day, they have to call into 1-800-Verizon and get an update on their ACP status.
Cool. So I love that. And thanks for sharing that. Now, remember, guys, when we place an order, whether, for ACP, we know that life on Verizon that we're covering with our customer is not going to show that ACP discount. So remember, when your technicians were getting to install the order, if we weren't explaining to customers after you get installed, here, we're qualifying you for ACP. We know you qualify, right? Here's your confirmation number for ACP. After your installation, you call into the call center or you go to this website in the app and you claim your ACP discount. Remember, customers aren't going to see that discount when we're closing our order. So it's up to us to explain that to them. Now, technicians getting questions about ACP. That happens. Remember, our technicians it's not their job to know the promotions. That's our job, right? It's not our tech's job to explain to customers how they redeem a gift card if there's a gift card on their promotion. It's our job to explain the promotions. Techs should never, we don't want them talking about price. We want them to go do their expertise, do the installation, make recommendations for where equipment should be for customers, explain the service and how it works. And when it comes to questions about pricing, promotions, affordable connectivity program, we want that all to run through us. That's where we can do a better job talking to our customers, staying in touch with customers prior to installation, and being available if they have questions after installation, so that we're not putting that burden on our technicians. Because you know what? Our promos change so frequently, and the technicians may not realize that there is a Black Friday promotion coming out, or what is included with that level of service, or if the setup fee is waived with gig, that kind of thing. Some do, some don't, but it's not their job to know. It's up to us to explain that and set those expectations. So just keep that in mind. Good contact with our customers prior to installation, and if they have questions afterward. Now, if you're talking about weeks or months down the road or something like that, you guys should never have to worry about calling into customer service for your customer. Like, that's going the extra mile. I appreciate you wanting to do that for customers, but really, Verizon has a process in place to support customers prior to installation. But we all love to be like, when we're trying to close that sale, hey, listen, if you have any problems before, I'm your personal consultant. I hear it all the time. But when that customer has a question, we sometimes don't answer the phone, right? And then they're like, well, I don't know. Oh, I don't know. We're here to support you. Answer the phone for your customers. If you don't know the answer, we will find out the answer and I will get back to you. And Quincy is there to support you, and I'm there to support you in those cases. We have teams of people who can help call your customer after installation or prior to installation to review their order so that they're comfortable. But it is up to us to make sure that we're setting the expectation of pricing. We're using our tools like Life on Fios to make sure we're weeding out those customers. And if customers have questions before we hit submit, we are the ones to answer those questions for customers. Okay? So, Val, let me take me through. I know, like you're saying, promotions and things of that sort, but what if you get to a house, or what kind of situations do you see maybe where the technician feels it's unsafe conditions, they don't have access to the backyard, or maybe there's like trees. I've seen trees and poison ivy. Like, take me through some of that we can make sure we're telling our customers to be ready for on day of installation.
All right, so we just make sure my job out there is make sure my technicians are safe, right? So our biggest one are dogs. Make sure the dogs are put away. That's one. In the backyard, I know this is Philadelphia, but dog feces in the backyard, no one picks them up. That's a little hazard for us too, because that stench and that smell could get to the technician. Other things that we might want to look out for, bed bugs. If you know, we just gotta make sure there's a sanitary environment for everyone. We have fleas. So there's a lot of cats and dogs in the house. Let's just be a little bit wary, make sure, hey, everything is good to go. Make sure your pets are put away and we don't have fleas. Trees in the backyard that you did mention, just make sure nothing is overgrown. We call them vegetation. I mean, we do have tools to cut some of that down. I mean, I have one here. If I have to get to it, I'll get to it, right? I'll cut it. But I mean, just make sure that we have, you know, access in the backyard and things like that. But for the most part, I am concerned about safety. Let's just make sure the house isn't falling apart. And we have gone to houses where, you know, we show up and it's an abandoned building and things like that. So let's just make sure that the houses that we go to, they're ready and prepared for us to come by.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all, you know, and I mean, you guys at point of sale do have a benefit of, I mean, listen, we've all knocked on that door where, you know, it smells a little funky before the door opens, you know? So sometimes those are difficult conversations to have, but to Bao's point, we need to make sure we're setting that expectation. Listen, dogs away, a clear path, you know, crazy overgrown poison ivy, that kind of stuff. Give your customer, and you know what? If they need some time to clear that up, then maybe don't pick tomorrow as the installation day. You know what I mean? Like say, hey, listen, you're going to get this cleared up. You're going to love the service. You know, like, let's find a day. How much time do you need to be able to, you know, clear a hoarding path? You know, like these guys see it all. We see it all out in the field. We shouldn't be going in customers' houses, right? These guys are going in customers' houses. It's like another level of frontline employee, right? So cool. Thanks for taking us through that. So let me take you through a little bit of what we call like pre-installation. So once you guys hit submit, right? How do we contact that customer? We already talked about having good cell phone numbers and good emails because we do a lot of contact, a lot of information. You know, we always want to use Life on FiOS to make sure we're breaking down what customers are going to see on their bill and what to expect. Because when we don't do that, your customer is getting an email with a breakdown of their bill. So especially with ACP, take the bull by the horns. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, you see how this says $70? Remember, you already qualified for ACP after you get installed. Call and have the discount added, and it could be a billing cycle before you see that discount. It really depends on when the customer calls in to have that discount applied as far as if they're going to see a first bill with a charge or not. Now, they will get credit if they do qualify for ACP, they'll get credit all the way back to the day that they call and have the discount added. But there is a possibility they could get a first bill that is not free. It is up to the customer to call and make sure. It's up to us to make sure customers actually qualify, right? So we use our tools. But prior to installation, we have an automated system that's going to text our customers. We call it on our end, on the back end, contact engine. What you don't need to tell your customers contact engine. They don't need to know that. That's just for you. Essentially what it is a automated system that texts the customers prior to installation and says, hey, Mrs. Jones, we're going to be out there on the 1st of the month between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Does this day work for you? Your customer says yes or no. The robot text service will document that. Hey, Mr. Customer, we are going to have to move about your home on the day of installation to make sure we're getting good Wi-Fi signal. Is this something that's okay with you? Yes or no? Hey, Mr. Customer, does anyone have COVID in the home? Is it safe for our technicians to enter the home? Yes or no? These are the types of communications your customers will get prior to installation. So it usually happens over the course of if your installation is set for 5 days out, they'll start getting communications pretty much, you know, within a day or two, same day. Hey, we see you place your Verizon order. Thank you very much. You know, we'll be in touch with information on your installation day on this day, so on and so forth, right? Or if you pick a next day installation, that process is condensed. So they'll get all those communications very quickly. But we want to set that expectation with our customers. Hey, prior to installation, you're going to receive text messages that outlines who the technician is, where they will be, when they will be arriving, and if it's safe to enter your home. So the more we can explain that to customers, the better they will be, because we can see those communications. We love when customers say, sounds good, I'll be ready, let's do it. But sometimes, especially if we don't have a good contact number, customers don't respond. Right? Now, to Bao's point, they still dispatch, they still send a technician if customers don't respond. But if customers are not engaging there, they are more likely to not be available on the date of installation. So we want to set that expectation for our customers at point of sale that they will be contacted and they need to communicate back and forth. And then if they have an issue, if they need to reschedule, because this happens, right? Oh, you know what, Joe? This sounds great. I can't wait to get installed. Let's do it on Saturday, right? Perfect. Submit your order. Everything's good to go. We then text the customer. Hey, Mr. Jones, we're going to be there on Saturday. Well, Mr. Jones forgot that he's got soccer practice for his kid. Now he needs to change his install day. They can do it through that. But that's where it's up to us to make sure we're staying in good contact with our customer. Make sure they download the FiOS apps, the My Verizon app, because they can communicate. They can change their due date. They can see updates from the technician on the Verizon app prior to installation. I want you to think about that. If you get your customers to download the app, first of all, they're stickier. That means they're more likely to be installed. They're more engaged. The more engaged we can get them and keep them prior to installation, the more likely your services are going to get installed, right? But they literally have a picture in the FiOS app, in the My Verizon app, of their technician. It's like Uber for technicians. They see who they are. They see where they are. They say, oh, I was set to be installed between 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. Well, I see that my technician is gonna just picked up my job. So they get status updates. They can communicate back and forth to the technician on day of installation. Hey, Bao, I see you're coming to install my service at 10 o'clock. Keep in mind, the backyard, I have dogs back there, so you want to use the back door or the side door. Your customer can communicate via the app. It's all part of what we can do at point of sale to make sure that we're reviewing the order, good contact numbers, good addresses. Make sure your customers download the app so they have good communication on day of installation. Cool. What else?
You know what? I forgot all about apartment complexes. If you make a sale in an apartment complex, please make sure we have access to the utility closet. Because when that closet is locked and the maintenance person can't get to it, that job has to be rescheduled or is in jeopardy. So let's just make sure if we do hit up an apartment complex, we need access to that utility closet. Forgot about that.
Yes. And a lot of times when you have a customer who lives in an apartment building, it's better to not have a Saturday or a Sunday appointment for them, because a lot of times in an apartment building, they're going to need like the superintendent or the maintenance person there to let our technicians in to maintenance closets so that we can access that. And a lot of times they're not there on Saturdays and Sundays. So just be aware of that. I would probably even stay away from like afternoon appointments on a Friday, holidays. This is just in general, okay? Now, I want to drive this home and wrap this up and put it in a big bow because we got about 5 minutes left here. We're talking a lot today about cancellations. What can cause a technician to not be able to do our installation? What prevents our customers from answering the door? It can sound like, shoot, I'm doing these orders and no one's installing them. I want to give you guys peace of mind. Your technicians, Bao and his team have our backs. We do an excellent job of getting orders installed. And if something happens where we knock on a door and the customer isn't available, or they say, you know what, I need to reschedule, we have teams of people that have your back to help those customers get rescheduled. What we're talking about today is things that we can do to help take that large number of installs that we do successfully and make it even more, okay? So to recap, We want to make sure we've got good addresses. We want to make sure that we're not setting up customers for service when they already have existing service. We want to make sure that we're setting good communication with our customers prior to installation, be there to support them. If they have questions, we don't really want them going to the robot tech service and being like, we really want to keep it to yes or no answers when we're saying, hey, are we able to come into your house? Does anyone have COVID? We look at this. Bao and I look at those conversations. We can see that all. And sometimes you have customers say, oh yeah, Maria was at my house. She said that this was free and this was going to be happening. I was going to get a gift card and blah, 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 blah. And the text message service is like, whoa, we're going to have an agent get back to you. So, you know, we want to be there to support our customers. If they have questions prior to installation, if they have questions about promotions, that's on us. Okay. But Bao and his team are doing a great job in Philadelphia installing our orders. This is just little things that we can do to help you guys understand, to set up your customers for success so we get even more orders installed, because it's frustrating when we go out there and customers don't answer. And if they do need to reschedule, sometimes they're like, oh, cancel it. They don't even give us an opportunity to pick a new due date, you know? So little things like that, explain without getting too complicated on what the installation process looks like, if they have an existing O&T in the home. And remember, the best thing about your jobs is that you wear Verizon on your shirts. It doesn't say Xfinity. It doesn't say T-Mobile. We've got the best product in the market, technicians that have 25 years on average experience. We don't hire, vendor technicians to come in and do these installations. Your customers are going to get the best product on the market. They got the best sales team out there providing solutions to them, and we got the best install and billing team prior to installation. So thank you guys for what you do. I do want to leave 5 minutes here or so. If anyone, Quincy, if you want to have anyone come off mute, we could take some questions if we haven't hit it today. I'm live right now. Quincy, are you with us?
Absolutely. I'm with you, Christian.
All right, cool. So I just want to give everyone an opportunity to come off mute if they have some specific questions that we didn't cover. And if we have 5 minutes or so to do that. Is that cool?
Absolutely. All right, guys. So if you can raise your hand virtually, I'll take you off mute. Let's get to the questions.
I see some questions maybe in the chat. Let's see. Let me see here. Any technical issues, feel free to hit me up. Oh, thank you, Bao. That's nice. Information, just make sure we don't have any.
No,
a lot of positive feedback in the chat. Thank you.
I will say this, you were very thorough, Christian, and I appreciate you guiding us, right? I think that you did answer a lot of questions. I know my questions that I've written down, you answered for us, right? The biggest complaints, right? I just want to understand what we can do better to make sure that we're being a great partner for you, Bao. And you did go over some of those things there. So, and obviously just you guys acknowledging ACP is a big deal for us right now at this point. That really can be a real dissension in the ranks if we're not together on that portion of why they're getting the free internet, or even if it's possible, right? The billing system. So I love that. Other than that, my questions are answered. I feel comfortable, but I want to make sure, guys, please, if you have any questions, now is the time.
So really quick, there was a question that came in through the chat. And don't worry, listen, if we don't get to your question, or please just get it to Quincy, and I'll get you answers. So that we can make sure everyone's comfortable moving forward. But the question they asked just really quickly, if we can explain general installation just one more time.
Okay.
Val, you want to just take us through just using what holes need to be drilled, that kind of stuff.
Okay, so basically this is a outdoor fiber loop. So this goes from the street into the home. And then once we get to the home, then it goes into a fiber plate. So we drill that one hole. All we need is one hole, very small too, very thin wire here. So one hole drilled from the backyard into the house, fiber plate to the wall. Then from this is our indoor fiber, very small, a lot smaller. Indoor
Hey, Val,
fiber.
can you move it? Can you move it over? Because I know some of us can't. There we go. Okay.
Okay, so this is our indoor fiber, very small, a lot smaller than the thicker black one I just showed you. And that goes to our ONT, optical network terminal. And this is in the house, and it's called our desktop unit because it can stand up or lay flat, and this stays around the first floor. From here, it plugs into our router, and usually maybe our technician puts it on top of it or puts it right next to it, like to the side here. And this is what provides your customer with Wi-Fi signal and internet. And that's basically the process, and that takes about 1.5 to 2 hours, depending how difficult it is from the backyard.
Now, just to piggyback on that too, the way our services are designed, we do need to run a hardwired Ethernet cable, a Cat5 or a Cat6, from the ONT to the router. Okay.
That's why we like to keep it together.
Right. So in some cases, your customers may like want the router in like a third bedroom or something like that. You know, they're not going to want the technician to run a hard wire all the way upstairs and all that stuff. So just keep that in mind. It does need, especially when we're selling gig, but even our slowest speeds now are hardwired to the router. Technicians, leave that to your technicians. They're going to review that with customers, make sure they're putting the service in a place that's going to work for them, that's going to be aesthetically pleasing. But yes, they will need to have that hardwired right to the router. And keep in mind too, especially with our gig service, you have whole home Wi-Fi that's going to offer a free extender to customers if they need it, that kind of thing. But that's general installation.
And don't forget, we can't close out the jobs until we test Wi-Fi in all the areas of the house. So we have to go upstairs, we have to go downstairs, we have to go in the back room, the front room, and test Wi-Fi everywhere in the house to make sure it's good before we close out that job.
Okay, great. Thank you. We had one more question, and then I'll leave it at that. If you have other questions, please get them to Quincy. I'll be happy to answer them. The other question that came into the chat is if a self setup is available, self-install, right? And it says in-store pickup, is a customer really able to install the services themselves? Great question. First of all, it's up to us to make sure that we're paying attention, because there's two types of self-install or self-setup options. In-store pickup, where they would go to a retail location in the area close to their home, pick up the equipment, and then bring it home and install it themselves. Or there's shipping, where we ship equipment. Now, in those situations where the system qualifies the address and says that a customer is eligible for self-setup, yes, they can install the services themselves. It is designed for customers to do. And they get a color-coded map, plug this in, ABC step 1, 2, 3. Like if your customers can count to 3, they can do it. Okay. Very simple, designed for customers to do in a nice little prepackaged box with beautiful visuals. So yes, they can. If you select in-store pickup, they do have to go and pick up that equipment within 10 days. If they don't, the order will fall out. It'll be in JEP. If you select shipping, as soon as you hit submit, there's no way to change that order, because it happens so quickly on the back end to get that equipment shipped out, get it to the team that packs those boxes and ships it out, that there's no way to change it until they get their equipment and actually activate their service, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, we do want to make sure we're asking good questions. Sometimes the system will say a customer qualifies for self-setup, whether it's in-store pickup or we're shipping it to them. But if they tell you, hey, that box is not in my home anymore, or we just renovated, we don't have an ONT in our house, those are situations where we want to just bypass self-setup and send a technician. But self-setup is great for the right customer. Ask the questions. It's outlined in the system. Does your customer have DirecTV or satellite? Yes or no? We got to ask those questions. It's in the system to make sure they qualify for self-setup. If your customer has a satellite dish, I don't care what it is, they do not qualify for self-setup. That's why those questions are in there. Pay attention to make sure your customer is set up for success and that they can actually do the install themselves. When they do a self-setup, they get installed faster. They don't have to wait around for technicians. It frees up our techs to be able to go to jobs that are actually needed for them. So there's a lot of benefits. You guys get paid faster. So yes, feel comfortable doing that, but make sure we're sending our customers to the store if they have to do in-store. Because sometimes we don't tell
Brand new
people that.
renovations are a technician's nightmare because they'll say that it's existing and the O&T's there. But you know, a brand new house has just been remodeled. Everything got cut in the backyard. Nothing is there. So that is probably our worst nightmare out there. So if you see a brand new house and it looks beautiful, looks brand new, chances are it's not existing.
Yeah, there's a lot of properties in Philadelphia that they're always being sold and renovated and all sorts of different stuff. So it's just up to us to make sure we ask good questions. Yeah, perfect. Listen, I'm gonna call it a day. Val, thank you so much. Quincy, thank you for what you guys do out in the field. Bridge the Gap Marketing, you guys are crushing. Keep it up. All right. If you have problems or questions, anything, get it to Quincy. We're here to support you. And I look forward to seeing you guys out in the field. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Let's get it.